Hari Om. Start with the prayer. Om Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Amadeva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Gurudeva Deva. Hari Om. We are analyzing the response of the teacher to the question that was posed by the disciple. And the disciple says, Sir, I have rejected everything, the Panchakoshas, and there is nothing left for me to know. And how am I going to know? Because I don't see anything else. And I considered all the Panchakoshas are mithya, means they are neither real nor unreal. But since they are not real, so I could reject them. But now I am left with nothing for me to know. And that was the question of the student. And appreciating the student question, because now he could at least reject all the mithya. Now teacher advises you have to use a very subtle intellect to know what it is, to buddhi only. And he is going to give more about the nature of the sakshi, the witnessing consciousness, or the sakshi is nothing but your own self, that I am, not sakshi is something there, that I am that witnessing, I am that sakshi. So who am I? Enquiry is what essentially involved in the enquiry of the sakshi here. So we'll now take the sloka 217, where the teacher continues to respond to the student. It says, Tat sakshikam bhavet tat tat yajyadyenanubhuyate kasyapyananubhutarthe sakshitvam nopapajyate tat sakshikam bhavet tat tat yajyadyenanubhuyate kasyapyananubhutarthe sakshitvam nopapajyate. So here yadyat, so ena tattatu tat sakshikam is anubhutarthe, that is essentially yadyat, and whatever ena, by whom anubhuyate is experience. So how do you define a sakshi? He says, he gives a way of explaining. So whatever you have experienced, and that experiencer of all experiences, in the whole life itself, tattatu, all that is due to tat sakshikam, is sakshi. So sakshi is the one who is witnessing. Sakshi means in the court is the one who is witnessing. What is witnessing? Everything that is witnessed. What is witnessed? Everything that you experience is your knowledge. So all that is experience. And in every experience there is a pramata and prameyam and pramanam. That's how you experience everything. I know this, so I am seeing the whole world, so I am experiencing of the whole world. So it is drusyam and I am druk. Therefore, this druk, drusyam are both are experience of myself. I am seeing this part. And so how do you know? I am seeing. So part is what I see, and I know it is a part. So therefore, there is a subject knower spontaneously arises when the object is known as this is my knowledge, also comes into picture. And that is essentially what is involved in the perceptual process. And not only seeing, but any experience is, there is an experiencer and experience and experiencing, means of experiencing. And I experience, this is a delicious food. So I am an experiencer of the deliciousness of the food. That means I am essentially went through the sense organs and experienced everything. So it is that whatever that yajyat anubhuyate, that whatever you have experienced in the whole life itself. And in fact, not only this life, in the whole life itself, because of the experience only, it's leaving an impression in the mind as vasanas. Whenever I experience a cup of delicious coffee, and it leaves an impression, not only I have an enjoyable, tangible experience immediately, but leaves an impression to have one more or to experience that again. That's called vasanas. So all that, therefore, not only in this life, in the whole life itself, starting from a unicellular to all the way to the human being. So yadyat anubhuyati, whatever you experience, there has to be experiencer. Experiencer is a conscious entity. Unconscious entity cannot experience. And that experience, the very existence of an experience, and that which is experience, there has to be existence of, or preconceived, there has to be a conscious entity which is independent of any experience. And that Satchikam, all that is the object of Satchi, or witnessing only. And therefore, that it itself is Satchi, and tat Satchik, tat Satchikam bhavet tat yadyat anubhuyate kasya api anubhutarthe satchitvam nopapadyate. So, that which cannot be experienced, so that which cannot be experienced, tat kasya api na anubhutarte satchitvam nopapadyate. So that which cannot be witnessed or experienced is satchi. So how do I know? That's why it is Sukshma Buddhaya. So Satchi is the one which experiences everything, but it cannot become a Satchyam. Satchyam is a witness by some other Satchi. So in order, if it becomes a Satchyam, there has to be another Satchi to witness this Satchi. Then we have a problem, then it leads into infinite regress. Because to know that Satchi which has to be witnessed, there should be another Satchi. So it is called Anavastu Dosham, or infinite regress, though we have to stop where Satchi is the one which can witness everything, but himself cannot be a Satchyam, it cannot be witnessed. This is the immediate statement. So I am that which is knowing everything, but I cannot be known as an object. I cannot say I am this. So inquiry thing, you are this, you are not that, you have to go beyond mind. All these statements are meaningless unless I have crystal understanding of what Vedanta says. I have to use this only to know that I am not this. I have to use buddhi only to know beyond, to go beyond the buddhi, or that which enlivens the buddhi, that I had to know. That pure consciousness which makes it a reflected consciousness, that pure consciousness is Satchi, that need to be known. And that can be known by Sukshmataya. It's going to address that more and more about the Satchi itself. So the first thing is, I cannot be known. So whenever somebody says, I know myself, then that statement is invalid if I think that I know it is an object. So in the Kenopanishad, the student screams out, now I understand it. When the teacher explains all that, he said, now I understand it. Then suddenly he realizes that if I say I understand it, I am a subject, and this understanding whatever is object, and I am not that object. So that statement itself is not really correct, because I cannot understand it, because I am the very source of understanding. So he corrects itself, no, not that I understand it. And at the same time, that statement is also not correct, because he understood. He understood that I am the understanding principle behind every understanding. That is what the clear understanding. Therefore, that understanding is a fact, and everything else is false only. Therefore, J.K. also makes a statement, it's not an understanding as a thought, but it is an understanding as a fact. It is behind every thought, because of which every thought is known. That has to be understood, that I am. That has to be real understanding. Therefore, tat satchikam bhavet tat. So in every knowledge that is there, because Sakshi is there. Without Sakshi, Saksham cannot be established. So how do I know Sakshi? Look at every Anubhuti, in every experience, there are two things, experiencer and experienced, and the process of experiencing, and the one which is experienced, the object of experience continuously changing. That's called idam vritti. Idam vritti is this, and in every this vritti there has to be aham vritti to know the idam vritti. To know this, I have to be there. And in that aham vritti is constant, always awareness of this, and that needs to be pay attention to in knowing it. And the same statement is simple for understanding those who are scientifically oriented. It says, I can see all objects here. That's what we say when we enter into a lighted room. We say, I can see this object, I can see that object, I can see that object, and so on. But fact of the matter is, I don't see any object. What I am seeing is light reflected by the object, and that light I cannot see unless there is a reflection. And what is reflected light comes into my brains and forms an image, and I see that which forms an vritti or a thought in my mind, and I see the thought and say there is an object out there. What I am seeing is only reflected light only. So that is called the abhasa, which is essentially reflection, and reflection of the form. That is what I bring the light is. So if a hand is, I am only seeing reflected light, reflected by the hand, which takes the form of the hand in the reflection process. But I am paying attention to the reflecting medium, not to the light that I am really seeing. So when I see the whole world in the light of sunlight or in light, I am only seeing the light only, and light cannot be seen by itself without being reflected. Same principle applies, that light of consciousness illumining every object that I see. I am the light of consciousness. I am the one who is illumining the object. And when the object reflects back that illumination, it brings back the information about the object in the form of an image only, in the form of a thought. But it is my own light coming back to me in a distorted way, because the distortion occurring due to the reflecting process. But if I pay attention, I am the light of consciousness, which is the knower in this, and also known also, because what is known is only a reflected light of my own light, which is consciousness. Therefore, pratibodha viditam matam, the scripture says, it is known in every knowledge. Therefore, even the saksham also I am, but to understand that one has to have a clear understanding of what Vedanta says also. Here, therefore, Sakshi cannot be seen or known by any means. So, but it is the very knowing principle in every knowledge also, it has to be there. So we also have to understand it is from the Sakshi point, no knowing process also. So who is a knower here? It has to be again clear. Sakshi cannot know Sakshi, and I cannot know Sakshi. And how do this process occurs? I have to use the buddhi and inquire what is that, because of which the buddhi is activated, or as though becoming a conscious entity. That consciousness is I am. That's why it is a vichara. So he says, tad vijñāsasva tad brahmeti, that please inquire. Icharasva means inquiry. Inquiry can only be done with the buddhi. Buddhi has to dissect itself that I am having two parts. One is I am part and the buddhi part. I am part cannot be seen, but because the buddhi is activated, that consciousness is that principle that I am. Because from the Sakshi point, akartaham abhoktaham ahameva ahamavya, I am neither doer nor enjoyer. There is no question of seeing also. So from the Sakshi point, there is no Sakshyam. So if from the Sakshi point there is no Sakshyam, means that is to be witnessed is also not there. But from the point of Sakshyam, there is a Sakshi, that which because of which the Sakshyam is become a Sakshyam. That means witnessed, it became a witness only because there is a witnessing agent that has to be recognized by the buddhi. Therefore, one has to understand that all this process is only at the level of the buddhi only, at the level of the creation only, at the level of vyavaharika satyam, not from the paramarthika satyam. So jnani, ajnani and jnanam and vijnanam, all that terms are applicable only at the transactional level, at the paramarthika level. So na vaggachati na manaha, neither the mind can go there nor the words, because it's indescribable, because it's infinite. Infinite cannot be described, because any description is only for a finite things. But it's not sunyam, because I am that and I am what? I am pure existent consciousness, undifferentiated pure existence and pure consciousness. Being infinite, I am Ananda Swarupam also. It's called Swarupa Lakshanam, not essentially Viseshanam of the pure consciousness. So this has to be, the witness cannot be witnessed, is essentially Sakshitvam Nopapadyate. So the Sakshi cannot be Sakshi cannot witness Sakshi. So we take this sloka 1218. Asau swasakshiko bhave yatasvenanubhuyate atah param swayam sakshat pratyagatma nachetaraha. So here the Mahavakya is being stated here. Asau swasakshiko bhave yatasvenanubhuyate atas param swayam sakshat pratyagatma nachetaraha. Nacha itaraha pratyagatma sakshat pratyagatma nachetaha ataha param swayam. I am the supreme reality also. This matta paradaram nanya kinchid asti dhananjaya. There is nothing beyond me. So who is beyond me? I am essential knowing principle, not only in this vyashti, in this local buddhi. I am the same one that is getting reflected in the other buddhi. I am the same one getting reflected in the other buddhi. So once I own up myself, I am the Sakshi. It is the same Sakshi that is getting illuminated in each buddhi, and the particular buddhi may not know other buddhi, but particular buddhi has to use that buddhi to recognize that I am the Sakshi. That knowledge is occurring at the local level only, not at the samashti level. Samashti level, as a Ishvara, is Sarvajnaha. But samashti, at the point of any other knower or another jiva, there is no knowledge. Therefore, if Tom realizes, Dick and Harry may not realize, because the realization is occurring at the local mind, in the Tom's mind, not in the Harry's and Dick's minds. So that also has to be understood here. So asau swasakshiko bhave. So this bhavam, asau abhavaha, this absence of swasakshikaha, oneself as the sakshi, absence of the sakshitvam for sakshi, that means a knowability of the knower, that means I am aprameyam. So yataha svena anubhuyate, that which can be as though understood, so anubhuyate, say ataha param swayam sakshat pratyagatmana chetaraha. Ataha, that is, there is nothing beyond, because if there is something beyond, then that I am which has to be known again. So if you go to, forgot about that, anyway. So in the Pondicherry, that Swami says, in fact, there is a higher than the self itself, and that's not true from the point of Vedanta. Asau abhavaha, this absence of sakshikaha, that seeing oneself as a sakshi, is that because of which is known, anubhuyate, is known by which is that ataha pratyagatma jivatma is swayam sakshat param na cha itaraha, na chetaraha. nacha itaraha. So that is Swayam, is Paramatma. So Atma that I am is same as Paramatma. What is that Atma? That is Sakshi. What is the Sakshi? That which cannot be Sakshyam, and that which cannot be witnessed, but because of which every witnessing is going on. And that's how the Kenopanishad says, Yan manata na manute, yenahur manomatam, tadeva brahma tvam vidhi, nedam ididam upasate, that which cannot be thought of, that because of which all thinking is going on, that alone is Brahman. Thinking is going on because the mind is activated by the reflected consciousness, and the reflection occurs only because there is a pure consciousness that is getting reflected, and without the pure consciousness there is no reflection. So the reflection depends upon the pure consciousness as well as the reflecting medium, and using the reflected medium, how do I know that? I had to say that pure consciousness has to be there, and I am the pure consciousness because I say I am a conscious entity, I am existent entity, I am self-revealing, as we said, in terms of the pitch dark room where I know I am there. So I don't need any means of knowledge to know I am there. Everywhere, wherever I go, I am there. I don't have to go to Himalayas to find out I am there also. I can be anywhere and I am everywhere, and that's what is the whole Vedanta is. And that's what we're going to discuss more and more in terms of what is my nature as a Sakshi and what is my nature as Paramatma. So this Krishna statement in terms of 13th chapter, Kshetrajnam chapimam veddi sarva kshetreshu bharata. So Kshetrajna is Sakshi, because all kshetram is everything, including Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, all the way to Anandamaya Kosha is kshetram, and kshetrajna is a knower of that, and the knower is same as I am that knower. So Jivatma, identifying with as a conscious entity, is undifferentiated with the Paramatma, who is also a conscious entity, where Paramatma is reflected consciousness in the Maya Prakriti, whereas the Jivatma is reflected consciousness in the local Vyashti Prakriti. And from the Prakriti may be different, but pure consciousness that is getting reflected is one without a second, and that is Paramatma, and there is no other one, nacha itaraha. Therefore, here the Mahavakya is being emphasized. Not only I am a Sakshi of the local, but this light that is illumining is the total light only. We call it a Sakshi for convenience, but it is Brahman, pure Brahman, and that is Param, and that is supreme. There is nothing beyond that. All that is being explained here. With this, we stop here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.